All right. Tillie Martinussen. Am I saying that wrong?
Tillie Martinussen. Yeah, almost.
So I came across one of your videos on Instagram.
Yeah.
What I know you've been asked this 1,000 times, but I want to ask you like the basic question, like what the hell is going on? And then I want to ask you a different question that's a little more related to a comment that you said. So, what exactly is this? Greenland is looking at us like this pitiful pile of like, what the hell are you guys doing over there? Like, what is your in the sentiment of like, we've been allies forever, and this orange
Forever.
piggy gets in the office and just wants to conquer the world. What? I mean, I don't know. How do you even describe like the stupidity upon this?
We have been talking about that amongst ourselves, and we don't really have a word for it. I mean, fascism is what comes to mind. I'm sorry to say it. Um,
No.
what you have to understand about me actually is that I'm, of course, first and foremost a Greenlandic person. But my
Mm-hmm.
dad is Danish, my mother is Greenlandic, and my dad actually worked for the Americans in what is now Pituffik Space Base, which used to be Thule Air Base before I was born.
Oh,
So
okay.
I grew up actually like, of course, my allegiance would be first and foremost with the people of Greenland, my own people. And then
Mm-hmm.
secondly, the King of Denmark, I held in very high regard. And then thirdly, I've never said anything bad about any American president, even when I vehemently disagreed with stuff that they did.
Yeah.
Um, this is the first time around that I've said anything, I mean, even publicly, but at all about an
Yeah.
American president that was so critical or critical at all. I mean, I have been, of course, in favor of some before, but
Yeah.
I've never like been critical openly in any way about any prior American president. First, because I thought it was maybe not my place. It became my place recently, and
Yeah.
secondly, because I love America. I don't think that people will know this from what has gone viral from now, but I have actually been to the United States 16, 18 times out of my own pockets,
Oh,
first with my
wow.
parents, yeah, and then myself when I was going vacationing. I love America. There's a lot of things about it that I really, really love, but what I'm seeing right now under this dumpster fire is the best way to describe it is abhorrent. It's
Yeah.
critical. It is something that all Europeans, I think, know, but we are comparing this to Hitler's playbook in
You should.
1938 or
Mm-hmm.
1939. And it's not just something that we're saying because I've
Mm-mm.
seen somewhere she's probably a fake AI or whatever that is from the Democratic Party or whatever they were saying. No, this is because we read history and we get it history in school, right? And in
Yeah.
World War II, I mean,
Mm.
from around the world, not just our own countries. And what we have seen, the atrocities that Hitler was able to commit because he first kind of tried to dismantle the free press, then he made like an enemy picture. Then that enemy picture was kind of broadened out a little bit to everyone who was critical of him. That
Mm-hmm.
emboldened him when nobody then opposed him.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this really great talk the other day from a professor that I'm following on Instagram, and it's Professor Poutine Time for East History Lessons, I think it's called, something
Mm-hmm.
along those lines. And he was saying, so the United States of America has been in a lot of different sort of course, bad places. But
Mm-hmm.
recently, it is actually very comparable. This is what I've said all along, but it was nice to hear a professor say it. That's what I've been saying all along. Is comparable to what happened in Germany's Nazi Hitler time, and it was also very symbolic that the first soldiers that we saw up here was German soldiers. They were the first to send
I
like
know. I saw
warships
that.
and soldiers up here, and I can't even begin to describe how much my heart breaks for people in Minnesota and for people that the ICE are going after. We are calling them the Gestapo here. And I'm
They're
not sure if that caught on in America. I haven't been following social media news recently that much, except for
Nazis.
this situation. Yeah.
Can I?
So the Gestapo was like the death kind of squad of
Oh.
Hitler back when, and it seems the same here. They are exempt from any um, prosecution of any kind, no matter what they do. They go into territories that don't belong to them. They're sent after what seems to be the critics of Trump, and not
Yeah.
because they're going for illegal immigrants that are here and doing drug
Mm,
cartels. And, so my heart kind of breaks for you guys actually at the moment as
yeah.
well.
Can I ask you a question? I know this is going to be kind of a long question. 77 million people went to the voting booth, right? They
Hmm.
voted for a rapist, a child molester, a felon, an insurrectionist who calls women fat, ugly. He's just a piece of shit. Okay, he is. He's human trash.
He really
All
is.
because, and tell me if I'm wrong, right? Because they didn't want to vote for the black woman.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking this because I want to make, because this is probably a little different than, because I believe that the media is failing this country, because I think that people are still refusing to admit that this is about white supremacy, right? That, and I want to ask, it's just a long question, is they were triggered by a black man at the White House instead of out in the fields picking their cotton, and their
Hmm.
traditional family values, which was a white man. And LBJ said, and I'll paraphrase, that they will vote for the most morally bankrupt, pedophile, rapist white man over the most qualified black woman. Am I
Yeah.
oversimplifying it, or am I completely off the nut here?
I don't think that you're completely off the nut. But what I do think that you're probably not thinking about when you're living in the United States, and of course you're angry too,
Mm-hmm.
is that he has probably the best marketing machine I have ever seen. I used to
Yes.
do like media marketing training for the candidates of the political parties before I was a politician myself. I did like a voice training, and I did like video training for them, and stuff like that. And I was also helping to put together all of the how we're going to communicate and everything. So basically a little bit of a spinner, but like small scale because it's Greenland, right? And the first time around when he came in office, the first time, I was crying when he was elected, I have to say. And everyone was going up here, why are you crying? I mean, come on. And I was like, you don't even know. I'm hearing Hitler everywhere in that because I've read
Mm.
so vehemently much about World War II, and he's going to make America into something that no one can recognize. I didn't know that I was going to be so right being a Greenlandic person, but I was. And so that's one thing of it. Another part of it is also, I think that it's very hard to connect the dots as long as there is not that enemy there, like the Donald Trump enemy. I mean, if the enemy is scattered all over, like the white supremacists is all over, and they
Yep.
kind of get a little more lenience, and then a little more lenience. You should learn from Germany. I mean, in Germany,
I
it
agree.
is forbidden to
Yep.
be like in any sort of fascist way, and I mean, there was even a party that wanted to be like real like alt right, and they were forbidden to run because they know about Hitler and they remember very
Yeah.
well, right? So they didn't want the history to repeat itself. And I know that also Hitler, I don't know if you know this, but Hitler and his folks there actually took lessons from the Ku Klux Klan in America
That wouldn't
on
surprise
how
me.
to divide and conquer. So I mean, the
Okay.
history, of course, with you guys is
Yeah.
deeper and longer, but I also think that there were a couple of factors at play there. The first one is, of course, we have seen Obama. Yay, I love him in office. And
Yeah.
number two is that Kamala Harris was pitched too late. And now I'm thinking, what is the Democratic Party going to do the next time around? Because I mean, Gavin Newsom is probably a good thing to like if you want to take some Republican as well, if you get him polished a little bit. But
Yeah.
I'm not really seeing any candidates there. However, what I'm seeing is that, which is just as much in play for people of color, is also like the woman factor. I mean, that is concerning. I
It's
mean,
sick.
that is crazy and repulsive, and no wonder there's a lot of insults. I mean, coming from there as well, and they're spreading to the world. So we got to stop this together. I mean, all the good people of America,
Yeah.
and I know that most people are. You have to believe
Can,
a majority is.
yeah. Can I
Um,
ask you about that propaganda thing? Because a lot of people don't, I don't think they realize this, but when Benito Mussolini came to power and became the fascist ruler of Italy, he ran, was it El Papel de Italia, the people's newspaper? He ran it 6 days a week. It was basically propaganda. It was like Fox News in print. But
yeah,
even after he became the fascist ruler, he handed it off to his brother who ran it, was it
yeah.
6 or 7 days a week? So propaganda of that and Hitler, it's very identical. Now, I wanted to ask you about this because one of the things that these strongmen do, right? It's basically insecure, mediocre white men that need to prove
Yes.
that they're tough because their dad didn't love them, their wives don't love them, they don't love them, they don't have any empathy, right? When
Yeah,
Benito
exactly.
Mussolini decided, not decided, when he lost power and they killed him, right? And they drug him out to the square and they murdered his mistress and hung him up for 3 days. They
Hmm.
literally stoned him after he died for 3 days.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that was because he spent so much time conquering other countries that people were living off of 1,000 calories a day. They were buying food on the black market. They couldn't afford housing. Now, my gut tells me at some point, even with his racist Make America White Again base, that parallel in history, he can lie all he wants. But when people can't afford groceries, do you think that at some point, no matter how racist they are and how much they love him, if they can't afford stuff, at some point they're going to turn on him?
Yes, I think so. And you have to understand, I think there was there was, of course, a lot of done afterwards of research and everything into what happened in the Third Reich, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that they came about was that 3% of the population there were actual Nazis. Then you had 90% who were bystanders. And then you had like a small percentage
Mm.
that were like Nazi light or something like that. And they were able to rule
Nazi like,
everything. Yeah.
yeah.
So how do they do that? They do that by scaring you, by controlling the media, controlling the narrative, making sure that the truth won't get to you,
Mm.
creating an enemy picture of some kind, and it could be anyone next. I mean, one of the most powerful quotes I think is that, and I'm paraphrasing here, where someone who was actually a Nazi to begin with, I think it was in Austria, that kind of redeemed himself before the Nazis were taken down. Um, he said that, so when we're looking at all of this, he was a pastor, by the way. When we're looking at all of this, I can say this with confidence on behalf of the people. So first they came after the Jews and I did nothing. Then they came after the
Mm.
blacks and I did nothing. Then they came after the socialists and I did nothing. I think the communist was first, actually. Then they came after the communist, and then they come for me, and there was no one left to fight for me.
You know
I
what's
think
it,
I
oh,
think like controlling people is about people thinking that they don't have power. There's no
yes.
power in numbers. There's no power in showing up. There's no power in resisting. There's no power in upstanding. There's no power in sharing content. There's no power in reaching out. And that is so, so wrong because the world's history has taught us that. And of course, when people
Mm.
can, and some of you are already there, right? Paycheck to
Hmm.
paycheck, they can't afford groceries. They have to take on a second or third job even. I mean, it's horrible. We live in a welfare state of if we're out of a job, the government will pay us until we find a job. If we get handicapped, they will pay us because we're handicapped. That's just a part of the deal that we made. So people who are going, yeah, but it's much more taxes. Yeah, that's because you don't even have the room to think about. So the more taxes actually secures you in every life situations that you're in.
I think that's an interesting point because when I look at places like Norway and Germany, right? Like Germany rejected Walmart because they like, we want a better quality of life. These
Yeah.
places pay what? Like what's your tax rate? Is it like 35% or something?
No, we have 42% here,
Okay. So here's what I
flat
think people
tax.
don't understand. They're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. But what we've done in this country is that we've swapped out a good quality of life for capitalism. When you look at
Yeah, but
places
but
like,
that's not even it. Let me break it down for you though.
okay.
Here we go, Paul. Okay. So
Hmm.
you're saying, okay, so that's a lot. Yeah. And for me, when you're starting to work, which will often be around 25 to 30 because we are very well educated, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then the rest of your life, when you're working, you're going to pay that. But now listen to me. Every school, even private schools, they are free.
Hmm.
All the
You mean
roads and
colleges?
yeah,
Okay.
I mean universities, colleges, no, also I mean schools and private schools, they're free. Also, childcare is free. You might have to pay a little fee some places
Hmm.
in big communities where there's a lot of pressure, but that's it. It's not going to be, and it's according to how much you earn, by the way. So it's a fair system. So you get education for free, and while you're doing your
Hmm.
education, no matter how long it is, you will be paid a grant while you're studying, so you can live off of that. You don't have to work on the side.
Wow.
You get free dental, you have free healthcare. No matter what happens to you, where it happens, how complicated it is, and how long it is. People will work to save your life to, I mean, no extent. You can be in coma for 5 years and it will be paid for. You cannot get that into money. I mean, 42% of the tax of that when you're done with your free education is very little to give back to the community, right?
Mm.
That ensures, though, we have one of the best healthcares, um, like doctors and specialists in the world. A lot of the medicine that you're getting in America, like Ozempic and like diabetes medicine and everything, it has been invented and is marketed and sold from
Hmm.
Denmark.
Can I ask
That's
you a question
how,
about that? Not to interrupt
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How do you, because, I think it's interesting because America says we have this BS version of American exceptionalism, right? Because we have
Yeah,
flags and bald eagles and freedom, freedom.
yeah.
You guys have more freedoms than we do. You guys don't have mass shootings. How do
We,
you keep the
we don't.
price of your doctors down? I mean, do you guys regulate it? Is it run by the government? How do you keep the prices where the people aren't getting screwed by these rich corporations? How do you do that?
Yeah, so the system that was kind of like what I was getting to. So the whole life cycle, right? When
Mm-hmm.
I just have to finish, when
Oh,
you're
sorry.
done around 65 to maybe 71, 72 years,
Mm-hmm.
when you're done with your working age, like the good years, then you will also be paid by the state for the rest of your life as an old person because you have contributed to society. So just so
Mm-hmm.
we have that clear. Next, then the government will say, okay, we have all the hospitals, we have all the healthcare facilities and centers and everything else, and we're going to put the best doctors that we can in there because everyone wants the best doctors, right? So the best doctors that we get from Scandinavia, which are some of the best doctors in the world, as well as our own doctors, of course. And they are happy
Mm-hmm.
to be here. They like Greenland. We don't need that many. They're also happy to be in Denmark because of the high quality of specialities that you can do,
Mm-hmm.
and research, and we're very much a research nation also. So
Mm.
all of that works fine. You will, because we're not capitalist, you will not get this kind of aiming for like, so this doctor, I think he's even better, and if he's better at marketing, then we're gonna pay him more, and then you're gonna drive up the prices, right? We kind of have, of course, there's a little variation, but we kind of have. So doctors, they are worth this and this because they have they have been studying for so many years, and
Mm-hmm.
the same applies to like every other free thing that we have. It's like, so we're going to pay them a fair wage. They're happy with that, I might add, since we have them, and so they are sort of part of the ecosystem. And I think that also kind of creates another kind of citizen. It's not like I don't eat if you eat, right? That's a kind of a zero sum game. Here is not a zero sum game. It means, okay, so I have space and I have enough free time, and we get paid. What do you call it? When you have a child, you can
Oh,
go unpaid
oh, paid medical leave,
relief.
family leave.
Yeah, family leave,
Mm-hmm.
both for men and women up here, by the way.
Wow.
And you could do that, yeah, for a couple of months. So everyone is feeling like, okay, so I can be secure and safe. I don't have to worry about my next paycheck ever.
Mm.
I don't have to worry about falling through the cracks. Of course, some will do because of maybe their addictions or whatever, but
Sure.
we help those too. So nobody's falling through the cracks. Nobody has to worry and stress all of the time about where the next paycheck is coming from, and that creates a system where everyone is kind of relaxed and kind of open and kind of.
Hmm.
Uh, Nobody's going, oh, this is way too much. I mean, blah blah blah. Everyone is going, of course we want to sometimes do tax in another way or whatever is fair, but mostly I think it's like groups that happens, and then they say, okay, so I want a little more money from the state when I'm in this situation because I don't know, inflation or something like that. Okay, then we're gonna amp up the money usually a little bit for that, and
Hmm.
sort of adapt the system along the way. But it works brilliantly, I have to say. And
What?
when you count all of that together, that could happen in a lifetime to you. Your
Hmm.
medicine is also free. Your medicine and like the dental care that you need and the doctor's care that you need. And if you get into an accident, the ambulances and everything, if you count all of that together through a lifetime, and you can see how long
Hmm.
you can study without going bankrupt at home and having
Hmm.
to feed everyone and everything. And both households, I mean, both men and women can work in a household, or if they're men and men and women, like both sides of the couple can go out and work. and it's a non-stress environment in that way. So when you don't kind of have that dog eat dog world, it's very strange to be encountered with it first and foremost, of course. And then secondly, 42% seems like very little for what you get in return. You get a safe
Mm,
pension when you're old. You get a safe upbringing. The community is taking care of you and the roads and everything else, by the way. And it's a very, very safe system. And it feels like the way that you think then is I'm contributing to my community. It's not a high tax at all. I'm contributing to
mm,
my community because they are going to take care of me. And the first time, as an elderly person, or when you get in your 40s or whatever, and you're kind of having the first sort of really where you get really sick, already
hmm.
there, um, it has kind of paid itself off. And then if you go with all of the rest of it, I mean, it has created some of the wealthiest nations in the world. So I don't know what
It,
America is on about, but it works.
it seems like this American exceptionalism, it feels like it's like what you said, it feels like propaganda. I mean, we lead the world in military spending, incarcerations, and gun violence, and probably
Yeah,
white supremacy.
yeah,
And we got 42 million people, over 12% that live in paycheck to paycheck that need money just to eat. We got 14 million
yeah.
kids hungry, 800,000 homeless. And it's like we keep saying we're the best, but when you look at other countries, I mean, you must look at us like you guys really aren't as good as you think you are. You might have a lot of money, but like three people don't have the wealth. And it feels like when you create a system, because in America, there's a lot of individualism, right? You got people on the right
Yeah.
that are like freedom, like don't tread on me, don't
Mm,
take my gun, but I don't care if my gun murders your kid or your mom or your dad or your sister, but just don't tread on me. And it
yeah.
just feels like they don't care about the betterment of society. Where in somewhere like Greenland, you guys see like, hey, let's take care of each other. Let's be an actual society, not be selfish. And by doing that, people aren't angry. Your kids aren't doing shooter drills. You don't have people that want to be violent. And you, by doing that, by creating an actual, you know, good society, you have a better quality of life than you do in a country like this. Is that fair?
It's very fair. I mean, everyone in Greenland and Denmark, for that matter, are going, so American society is kind of like not up to speed yet. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
And I think also, I mean, we're also thinking of when you have to educate yourself, which is how you learn about the world a lot, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
specialize in something and you dive into that, and you'll have experts on TV talking about that academically, whatever subject it is, usually. So you will
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of knowledge also for free. It's a knowledge society. And then you look at America, and then you go, okay, so maybe it's because they have to pay so much just to get an education that most people,
Mm.
they just have to go out and work, and then they're left fending for themselves. And if they are and it gets in the wrong way, of course they're gonna go about it like, "Oh, just don't tread on me. I don't care about the next person because you have
Yeah.
been learned to survive this way." But for us, also all over Scandinavia, I might add, and for Greenland as well, it seems a little crazy to us that this is the kind of way that you choose to live still. And we have been thinking, I think, for a lot of time, maybe for decades and decades and decades. Okay, so they choose that. Maybe they'll get wiser along the way. And
No.
no, we don't. You just don't want to be taxed. But you are like taxed everywhere. You have to pay for everything. Even when you
Yeah.
park your car somewhere,
It's
there's a valet
stupid.
coming running. And you have to pay him. You have to make sure that you give enough tips for the waiters because they can't make a living wage, everything like that. I mean, we don't have to do it. We do it sometimes out of courtesy because we are a rich society already. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
don't have to worry, right? So we will, of course, tip the waiters every now and then. But it's not something that is expected because they can do fine by their wages here. So
Mm-hmm.
when we're hearing sort of the stuff that you're talking about, raising the minimum wage, that will be outrageous because blah, 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 and so and so. Um, I'm not like a big fan of the whole socialist like movement who are going, yeah, but we need to sort of get everyone who is wealthy out of the country and blah blah blah. But I understand paying your fair share though.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with those people anyway because that's where we're living, and we are not
Yeah.
socialist. We have actually a lot of people who are the leading people in a lot of the firms that who are the experts in a lot of the firms. We have Mask, which is the biggest shipping country, the shipping thing in the world, I think, at least among one of the biggest ones. We have so many specials and so many exports from Denmark and from Greenland as well.
Mm.
I mean, it's not like we're a non-capitalist society, but we're not really capitalist in that way.
Yeah.
There's like a cap to it, right? So we're still making a lot of money. We also have very wealthy people. That's not it. Also here in Greenland, we have very wealthy people.
Yeah.
I don't mind personally at all. It's just that everyone else is not struggling to get by, that nobody's dying in the streets, that nobody is going homeless,
Yeah.
unless it's something that they really can't control. Then we still try to help them, because that will bring down crime, that will bring down egocentricness. That also we have seen that it makes a much safer society for everyone. It's not just like a socialist idea. It's working, and it's been working for
Mm.
like a lot of time here, right? And for hundreds of years in Denmark. So
Do
we like the
you,
welfare state very much.
yeah. Do you think that, because Donald Trump has the IQ of a cat that licks his backside, right? I mean, he's an idiot. He's just a moron. Do you think he actually cares about security, or is this more about the white man being a colonizer of Venezuela, of Cuba, of
No, guys,
Greenland?
let me clear that right up for you. It is not about security at all. Since the
Yeah.
50s, 1950s, we have had treaties in place between Denmark, Greenland, and the United States. The states that the United States can basically put in any military installations that they want to. We just have to nod along, and we have always nodded along, just
Hmm.
as Greenlandic and Danish soldiers has been fighting along.
Hmm.
American military forever since we did those treaties. I mean, since NATO was born, we have been going in as I think the only ones. I don't know if the Brits also have, but I know that Denmark and
Hmm.
therefore Greenlandic soldiers are in the Danish Defense Army, have been going along with America in every single war they have been in. Every time they called, we showed up. We have lost people in conflicts that weren't even ours because we adhered to our treaties and to our commitments as partners and as allies, right? So you
Hmm.
can't even imagine how insulting it is to hear
Mm.
Donald Trump saying, we never got anything from Denmark. We never got anything out of this. This is only a block of ice. Sir, we
Mm.
lost lives. We have families here who got their dearest ones home in a coffin just as much as you did. In a lot of those conflicts, we have been actually stepping up. We are 57,000 people here in Greenland. There are 6 million people in Denmark. Two very small nations have
Mm.
been somebody who's been following into bed, who has been taking more than what would be per capita, right? Would be fair to send of forces, of materials, supporting the United States in all sorts of conflicts. Always, we have always
Mm.
stepped up. We're one of the founding members of NATO, so the level of insult that
Mm.
he said about that, also calling, of course, Greenland a big block of ice and all of that. But I mean, especially for the military servicemen and women here
Yeah.
who just 2 years ago went out of Afghanistan together with you guys. I mean, that an American sitting president can be saying that. We all know that he's incredibly stupid. We also know that he doesn't have any empathy. It's very clear to us.
No, he doesn't care.
However, he doesn't care at all. But hearing someone from an allied country being allowed to say that
Yeah.
again and again, over and over again. So it's not just Trump, right? There's something broken in the Republican Party. I mean, nobody has grown any balls anywhere and has stood up to him. They have said that they would, but we have
Yeah.
not yet seen it. Um, so I can't
I
believe that everyone is kind of perpetrating this whole,
I
he's a great, strong man. That's not
well,
strong. I mean,
I
come on.
this is what I think it is. This is my opinion. I believe there are a lot of white people that are afraid of a white minority because we're the only country in the world that has a white majority. And in about, I think it's 2030, that's not going to be the case. And I believe that when they see women, Black people, Muslims, Hispanics, Somalians, their traditional family values, leave it to Beaver, Cheers, Family Ties, the white kid with the white cop that was during segregation, that's their version of traditional family values. I mean, and when you look at what he's doing, right? I mean, ICE is basically wanting to go back to Jim Crow. I mean, Jim
Yeah.
Clyburn the other day said basically they want to make segregation as legal as possible, but he's putting up Confederate statues. They're giving medals to the people that murdered 250 Lakota on Wounded Knee. He's worshiping Robert E. Lee. He's taken slavery out of the Smithsonian. I mean, it's make America white again. But what
It
I get,
really is.
it really is. And I really think that's what it is. And it's not Donald Trump, it's an entire political party. And I would almost pose this to you because I really believe that this is our fault as a country. And you said something earlier about people that are sitting by. And I really think that since 1619, and probably going back to before then, during the Middle Passage, white people have watched black people get treated like absolute dog crap, decade after decade after decade after decade. And even now we're watching it happen. And now what's happening to us? And they won't
Yeah.
go in the streets. They're like, oh, I have a job. Oh, I can't post on social media. And it's like, what are you willing to sacrifice? It goes back to your quote. Why are you watching black people, Asians, trans people, immigrants? These people voted for a convicted felon. It was never about law and order. Why are white people still sitting around watching this happen saying, well, there's nothing I could do because I don't want to upset Uncle Bob on Facebook?
I don't know. That's not my experience at the moment, of course, but it is a very small part of the country. I have no
Yeah.
idea. I'm not white. So, so I wouldn't be able to speak to that. However, what I think also, I mean, I was in complete and utter disbelief when I saw Black folks, when I saw people of color like
Mm.
Hispanics, Mexicans saying, yeah, we're for Trump. He's for family values. I
Hmm.
was like, this has to be the best marketing scheme that has ever been sold in America. What are you talking about? How
I could,
could you, as a person of color, vote for this person? You have seen
yep,
the ties. You have
yep.
seen who he surrounds himself with. You have heard the story of his father. And if you haven't had, I encourage you to go and read it. I mean,
Mm.
this is a white supremacist family. It really is.
It is.
And they have
I,
sort of gathered all of the white supremacists, and then they are threatening first their own, like the
yep.
whites. If you don't do this, you will lose power. You personally
Hmm.
will lose power. I will out you with this and this I have on you. You will lose a fortune. You will lose standing, whatever.
Mm.
And then the first one gets scared, right? And then they are going on in this way into the power circles. And then after that, then they're going out and they're saying this time around, look, I'm not kidding around. This time we don't say white supremacy, but you can see it, you feel it, you see the insurrection. You are seeing ICE in the streets right now. So of course we're taking over. And that is a story that is ingrained, I think, in a lot of people. Oh, this
Yeah.
makes me so scared. I mean, a lot of people wants to kind of go along with power, right? It's also poor people. I mean, I was also thinking, why are so many poor white Americans voting for him?
He has a
He's
gold
not
toilet.
gonna, he's not gonna, yeah. How is this man gonna make you
It,
more rich? I can't
I,
even believe that they're
I,
falling for this. I mean,
I,
I think it's so sad.
it is sad. And I think the reality is there is a lot of racist people in this country that would rather burn this country to the ground. They would rather suffer under a white man than thrive under a black woman. And to go
Mm,
back to what you said before, this is
mm,
what, and I've talked to a lot of people for they call them the blaga, the black people that voted for them. And listen, for some of the Latino men, it's misogyny, right? But for some, and again, I'm
it
not
must
black, but
be.
I talk to a lot of different people. It is proximity to whiteness. They think that if they're close to the white man, if they vote for the white man, that they're going to get a membership card and they show up and they put them to work. That's what it
Yeah.
was. They got played. They
Yeah.
thought that
Okay.
the white man was going to let me be in the club. They're like, oh, wait, now you're deporting my mom. That's not what you told me.
So
We told
yeah,
you.
yeah. So if you want to change this, I just have to say you have to strengthen your primary schools. This is where you have to do it. You have to like teach history over and over and over again because nowhere in the world has this gone over well.
Right.
It doesn't last for long. Proximity to white power is the worst kind of way that you can go about it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's not as urgent for me, of course, so I can just sit here and blah blah about it, right? Except for him wanting to invade my country, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, your situation from a day to day, and a lot of like millions of American situation right now is not as urgent for me. However, I would offer like this kind of advice to you. What we know from all of Hitler's reign, all the
Mm-hmm.
studies that has been shown and everything, it is maybe all of those things are also there, like you were mentioning, but a lot of it is also just kind of wanting to belong. I mean, even the people, I mean, some people have ruined their empathy center, right? Their humanity center. Leave those off. But let's say it's 1 to 5% in America or something like that are actually psychopaths. Okay, leave those
Mm-hmm.
out of the questions. The rest of them, it is actually a form of belonging, which sounds so sad, and it is, but it
Mm-hmm.
is, like, scientifically. It is people who are going, "Oh, I don't want to be left out. I don't want to be left behind. I
Yeah.
don't really have anyone to talk to. Nobody really understands me." Maybe they have pain because their father had to work all of the time. Maybe their father was a bigot. And so when they find sort of this like collective, they go, yeah, yeah. So I'm part of some club, as you were
Eh,
mentioning, right? I'm part of some
yep.
club somewhere, and I have a belonging. Yay, finally! And as actually the Canadian Prime Minister said yesterday, look,
Oh,
in Europe
so
we
good.
still. It was so great.
So good.
Yesterday he was going like, so if the United States doesn't want to be our ally and a friend anymore, and we can't trust them, then that's fine. The rest of us still believe in freedom. We still believe in democracy. We still believe that banding together is
Yeah.
exactly what we need to do. The whole idea of NATO was not to have like each country being their own fortress and everyone being scared and like, poking each other and doing wars and everything. It was like, we are a force to be reckoned with. We're going to go into war with anyone who wants to take on freedom, that wants to take on freedom of speech, that will
Mm.
throw fascism into the spotlight as it was a solution to anything, et cetera, right? And so there's been peace for a lot of time in our part of the
Mm.
hemisphere. Um, so maybe they got complacent. I would have to agree with Donald Trump that they were complacent. However, there was no threat really. And when he came and asked,
Yeah.
I think it was a couple of years ago, everyone should amp up their spending? Everyone went, okay, no problem. Yeah, of course,
Mm.
because we're an alliance.
Yeah.
Everyone adheres to the alliance, right? So they discuss it and they go, yeah, okay, perfect, fine, we're going to do that. So we have already done that, actually. But you have to understand about a lot of people who are bystanders. First of all, they don't know what to do. They're frustrated. They don't know what to do. And if you're frustrated long enough, you'll be so exhausted that at some point you will just succumb to
Yeah.
whatever seems like there's most of. That's
Yeah.
one thing. Number two is if you don't have anywhere to turn and you feel like the whole world is burning around you, you don't care. You don't care. All you have to do is make sure that you live yourself. This is why the welfare system is actually a pretty good way to live, right?
Yeah.
Nobody will get to that point. And the third is also that we have seen good people do really bad stuff if they feel like there's an authority somewhere where that is greater in number than they are, even if it's just a thought. And
Mm.
this is where education and sort of critical thinking comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, the belonging part, you really can't rule that out. I mean, um, if you grew up and your parents didn't have time for you, or if they didn't have empathy, or if they always were kind of like thinking of themselves as a kid, you were scared, and then you were taught scared is home. Scared is a good feeling.
Do you,
Um, Belonging somewhere where you don't feel comfortable, but where you belong right now is a good feeling. You're safe there. It's like
right.
kids who are growing up like being beaten fiercely by their parents. They're going to grow up and think beating people is a good way. It feels like home.
I
Um,
can I
so
ask you?
there's a lot of a play there, I think,
Yeah.
more just so you get a little bit more faith back into some
Yeah.
of the people that you have talked
I,
to that voted for Trump. Just because the last thing that I just wanted to say about that is when you see a glimmer like of doubt in their eyes, when they're turning around again and going, "Oh man, I was wrong." Nobody should go, "Yeah, you were wrong. That's so wrong, asshole. I told you, f you, blah blah blah." You just say, I'm going to be very mad about this. I told you so. I
yeah.
can't help but say that. But you're welcome back into the normalcy. You're welcome back into the
Yeah.
majority. You're welcome back into this because otherwise you will get these extremists that you're seeing running amok in your streets right now with ICE, right?
God, sick. They're brown shirts, is what they are.
Yeah.
I was going to say something because I know you've had a long day. It's interesting you say belonging because I actually think that, and this is for white people, they in the red states, they're lowest in education, highest in welfare, lowest in wages, lowest in healthcare. They don't have anything, right? Because
Mm.
they get so stuck in these culture wars. Tampons in bathrooms. Oh no, a transgender. Oh, 41,000 people died from gun violence, but let's talk about a transgender in college sports because that's so
Yeah.
important. But what happens is they never make their lives better, right? And they
Yeah.
see people that don't look like them. It's always been white people everywhere. Now they're seeing Somalians and Indians and black people. And I think you're right on
And
some
people
level.
from Haiti is eating
Right.
dogs and
And they're
cats.
like, oh, they're taking away what's owed to me because I'm a white man. And it makes perfect sense because I really think for a lot of these MAGA, they are terrified of being the minority and their privilege, their salaries, their jobs. Now it's going to somebody that's not white. And instead of like, somebody like the Charlie Kirks of the world and say, oh, if she's a black justice, she must be affirmative. How about she was just qualified? But
Yeah,
when we see a
exactly.
black person in that position, it's like, well, is the pilot really qualified if they're black? Nobody ever says that
If
to a
you
white
see, I
pilot.
would let me just put in a little thing here for brown and black folks. If you see a woman who's black,
Yes.
who's going to be a Supreme Court justice, she would
Yep.
have to have been at least twice as good as the rest of the field. Probably four times as good when you're correcting for gender. Just it was just a small
And
commentary.
you know what's ironic about that? Because I had this conversation and I thought about it. The 92% that voted for Harris, the reason, I mean, they're some of the most smartest, most intelligent. They're just really, really smart, right? Like I feel stupid talking to them because they have to work 3, 4, 5 times as hard as somebody like me because the system is rigged against them. So they have to study harder. They have to work harder. It's not fair,
It's true.
but
Yeah,
they're
it's not
really, really
fair.
smart. They've had to work 5 times as hard as a white person, and they still don't get a fair chance after that.
Yeah, but then if you look at it, yes, the system is rigged. So what do you want to do about it? Number one, you would have to. I mean, as much as I love Michelle Obama's "When they go
Mm.
low, we go high."
I knew you were going to
No,
say
no,
that.
no. When they go low, you school them.
You
You
throw mud
school
on their
them
eye.
right then and there. I
Yep.
know what tremendous courage it takes. I know, I
Yep.
know, I know. It's not that at all. But you have to put on your big girl or boy pants or drag pants if that's what you're wearing, and then go school them because
Yeah.
all change ever has been made out of people who are actually going, okay, I'm not qualified for this. Maybe I'm going against a system that is right. I don't know, but I have to say something now, and that gives hopes to more people, and
Mm.
sort of that spreads. That was kind of what I was trying to say before. You guys have to create more hope, but you
Mm.
also have to be like much harder for the Democrats. They have to find someone who is able to both be elegant when necessary, but also much harder when
Yep.
necessary.
Yep.
Um, because what we're hearing, there are so nice people, and everyone has been like, okay, so we're kind of the highbrows and we're kind of the academics of, and we were, no, you're not. You're Americans. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you. This is the way it is here, by the way. We go alongside our prime minister and kind of take posters off the wall and everything. It's as soon
Mm-hmm.
as you begin to build that hierarchy, something is going to go wrong. And I don't mean, of course, someone is better at something than others. So, and of course, you respect what people say and do. That's not the same thing as they have the power, have to be scared. Like being
Mm.
scared and respecting someone is such a different thing. And
Yeah.
when I'm kind of looking into America right now, as I mentioned before, my heart breaks completely. It's the same nation that sent space rockets to the moon. It's the same nation that Martin Luther King
Mm.
resounded from all over the world. It's the same nation where you had Woodstock and you have great artists and movies, and like there's so many great things that are out of America, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
remember those. You kind
Yeah.
of have to remember, you have to remind people of that. I mean, there will always be a percentage who are bigots everywhere. I mean, it's also like it's kind of weird to be in Greenland sometimes because we have some that are racist to whites because there are not as many whites as there are brown people here. So that's kind of weird,
Oh.
right? Um,
Reverse racism.
yes, it's very weird, but you get to experience that here. Um, and there will always be those people
Yeah.
that doesn't get that if you did a DNA test, you would probably be like 10% from South America, you would be 20% from Egypt or somewhere. I mean, even if you look terribly white, right? Very few
Mm-hmm.
people are actually white, 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 white. Um, and there's no threat to them in any way, shape, or form unless you keep feeding into this whole dog eat dog world.
Yeah.
And it is so understandable. I mean, when people are living paycheck to paycheck, they're scared of being kicked out and they're
Yeah.
being told, look, it's not the power, it's these folks. Of course, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to go, I'm not sure. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And then they're hammering with you. I
And
mean, like in a marketing machine and
yeah.
everywhere, like 24/7, those people you have to forgive. They don't know any better. What we have to think about is, so how do we teach them better? We don't
Mm.
teach them better by keeping this So we're brown folks, and I just wanted to tell you about my experience. I'm sorry, that's not going to work. You're going to have to tell them by a white person together, maybe with a brown person, that you're going to go, okay, so we know that this is your life. We get it. We have been outside. We have seen it. We get it. But you have to think about, and then you have to go about humanity and what unites us as a humanity. I mean, when you see Independence Day or something like that, it's like, yay, Americans are for all humanity and we save the whole world, right? So the whole world is also brown and black people. So I mean, that kind of
Yeah.
feeling, you kind of have to create in them. And then when they go low, kick their ass. I mean, I
I
don't
agree.
understand why people are so afraid to do that. Well, I understand when I see eyes on the streets, of course. That's not what I mean. But I mean the people that can, both of
What?
color and the
Yeah,
whites, kick their effing asses like
I agree.
all the way from here to the moon and back, and then remind them you were once a really great nation.
Let,
Go back to that.
let me ask you one last question, kind of a political question, if I could. Do I am really listen, the Republican Party is just morally bankrupt, right? They're defending a pedophile and a rape. It's disgust. And I was a Republican. I voted for McCain and Obama. They were both
Yeah.
decent people, right? I voted across the aisle. I do not understand what in the hell is wrong with the Democratic Party. Am I wrong? I mean, it feels like they're writing strongly worded letters, and their solution is it's January. Vote for me in November.
Yeah.
Am I losing my mind here? Like
No, no,
what is
no,
wrong
no,
with them?
no. I have an affinity, of course, with the Democratic Party of America. I will always have, but I've also seen some pretty badass Republicans along the way that I thought, oh, I'm gonna follow them a little bit around. I think they're pretty good. What is wrong with the Democratic Party right now is that everyone, I think, it looks like from the outside at least, and from someone who's done it at a very small scale, and none of your country, of course. So this is only my opinion, what it looks like from the outside. But what it looks like is that there's a lot of people who are doing a power struggle and not doing it openly. First of all, you have to do it openly within the
Mm,
party to make sure that that is not a consensus thing. Oh, so if you're going for the power, then I'm going to take you down because we're not people who are going after power. You have to go after the raw power and you have to do it now because that will save lives, that will save economy, that will save jobs, that will save your military, that will save a lot of people, a lot of gun violence. And I know you're going to have that is one of the biggest pushbacks of America. We also have rifles everywhere. We don't have school shootings. We're hunting people, so
yeah.
there's 2 to 3 rifles, like guns everywhere, in all of the houses. I think almost.
Yeah.
Except for people who are coming from
Because you people
outside.
are happy. You take care of your people. Nobody's living in poverty and
Yeah,
is nervous. You're
yeah.
happy.
Yeah, and if someone is acting strange, we're gonna go into their room and go, who are you talking to online and what are you doing? Why are you misogynist? Your mom birthed you. How can you be so misogynistic towards women? I mean, you wouldn't exist without a woman. We're also very accommodating towards LGBTQ plus people because they're people. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's puzzling to us that all of this is going on right now, of course. But I'm seeing the Democratic Party as being way too nice, playing way too nice. But they're
Yeah.
power people as well. I mean, if you're in
Mm.
politics, you're a power person. It can be a soft power, you can be like really harsh, but I mean, you probably saw my video that went viral, right?
Uh-huh.
If need be, I will step up and I will say exactly what I mean. And that was actually before Carney said anything and anyone of the world leaders. So I was kind of like
That was an
afterwards.
incredible speech. It was refreshing to hear somebody with a working brain that had complete sentences that spoke until I was like, can we just be part of Canada? Like, can we just have this, please? Like, that's how I felt. He was
Yeah.
incredible.
Okay, good. I'm happy. But afterwards, I had like a brief moment where I went like, okay, I was really not nice there, and there's a lot of nice folks in America. I was kind of second guessing myself. Then I went, no, this was what I saw. This is what is happening. This is what I'm seeing. I have to say it. And if nobody else dares to say it, and I'm going to be put in prison 2 days if he invades us in 2 days, Trump, right? Then I'm going to be put in prison because that's the truth. And I mean, it's kind of the interference that I'm kind of lacking from it. It feels like a very academic, highbrow sort of party with good people with good hearts that are scrambling kind of to try to find out. So how are we going to go about this? Being nice and going after power at the same time. It's no problem. Just tell the truth.
Yep.
Call it as you see it. And
It
if
doesn't.
some of them
Yeah.
are like, I'm gonna kill him, that's fine. They're gonna take some middle election, voters and gonna push them over to you. That's fine.
Right.
What the Republicans want so much is that, and this is actually my view of the original, in my lifetime at least, Republican Party, is that good Christian values, like good with military. They usually pretty good with explaining stuff in a very simple way.
Mm-hmm.
They project power. They project
Strength.
strength
Yeah.
a lot. And they also kind of, what I really like about the Republicans is that they feel like they're family oriented. I mean, the person that they elected does not reflect that at all. I can't even begin. I'm
You,
sorry, I'm laughing.
you know
But
what's
the
what's
very
sad?
notion that people were
Uh,
saying that
Yeah.
Trump was like a family oriented man, I was going like, he's paying off prostitutes. He's bought a
Yeah.
wife again somewhere that it seems like a hostage most of the time. I mean, how can you say that this is a family
I,
oriented man? I'm sorry, it's not even funny because
no, it's
he has so
not.
much power.
I,
But I mean, how can people be blinded like that? I don't understand. I just don't
it,
understand. I
it's
don't.
because of the white, and I was a Republican until 16, and I left the party a month after he got elected because I'm like, if this is your version of family values, and I'm happy to be a Christian. I don't care if people are atheists, agnostics, live your life, whatever makes you happy. I don't care. Love who you
Yeah.
want, none of my damn business. But it's I really still think it goes back to when you look at evangelicals, not to go too religious here, they call this a Christian nation, okay?
Yeah.
Slavery, 1.4 million black people died on the ships coming over. You had Jim Crow, the Trail of Tears, Wounded Knee, Asian internment camps, the genocide of millions of Native Americans. Black people were three-fifths of a person. How in the hell can you call that a Christian nation and
I
say
know.
Jesus that died for us, that talked about empathy, that cured sick people? How in the hell is that a Christian nation? But according to them, it's about whiteness. As long as they're white, it really comes back to that because that's their justification for it. Sadly.
Yeah, and I know. And actually, I'm a Christian myself, right? And I have been like fighting like American Christians in commentaries when I was bored
Mm.
because they were citing the Bible like the devil would cite the Bible if he was a white supremacist sometimes. I mean, how did you come about this? This is not what was written in the Bible. This is not what they mean. This is not how you're supposed to interpret it. But most of all, I mean, how can that buffoon be called a family man? I had to do a double take and then I had to do a triple take because that was actually one of the like core values that I saw that I liked in the Republican Party, right?
Yep.
Um,
I
the strength, but also the resolve to make sure that we take care of our family. That also means taking care of women. That also means if your child turns out to be LGBTQ plus, you take care
mm-hmm.
of them. You do not shun them. That's not Christian at all. And I mean, it's not if you're like going for fundamental Christianity, that's just as bad as the terrorists and the fundamentalists over there that are trying to bomb like other countries because they are
If
not
you
believing the same thing that they're believing. It's worrying and it's puzzling that this has seemed to be on the rise. However,
yeah.
I think what we're seeing, I mean, some of the things that I've said to some of the journalists, I just want to finish this off with this,
Mm-hmm.
that has talked to me sometimes around all of this debacle with Greenland and the United States. And isn't he right, though, that he's kind of strong-armed Europe into all of this? He didn't have to, by the way. Europe was like, yeah, of course, fine. It's one of our allies. We'll talk about it, and then we're gonna do it. It sounds fine. We understand Putin went into Ukraine and everything, so that's fine. He started talking like to Putin, which is also like a red flag. Like so big, it should be the whole screen red flag. But anyway, one of the things that I said to them was, I don't think that Mr. Trump or the voters for him understands that what the way he's going about things now in the world history of
Mm.
always, no matter which country it was, where if he's allowed to keep going down this road,
Mm-hmm.
we can talk about left or right. We can talk about everything that we want to. Ultimately, this would mean the end of the United States as a superpower down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because if nobody can trust them, and if nobody who is prosperous and who is wealthy as well in the countries, no matter how they feel about brown and LGBT, everyone that is not white, no matter how they feel about all of those folks, if you don't have allies with money
Hmm.
and with power and with education, um, and you don't have the trade agreements and everything else, then you're going to go right back to, yeah, I don't know, 1910s or something like
I
that,
was,
and you're going
yeah.
to have a closed economy because that's just not how the world works anymore. And you will not only have, but also you will have deficits in like medicines, in tech, in global business. I mean, one of the reasons why America is so powerful is because they have like global business.
Hmm.
Not all of those were invented by Americans, by the way, but there has been
Hmm.
like good tax deals for them or something to start their companies there. And there is a lot of, I think, innovation, a lot of great people, a lot of great stuff that comes out of America. But you have to understand that at some point, when people are going about it the way that Donald Trump is, what you heard was so shocking. If you
Yeah.
knew about European history and world history, that Mike Carney had to go out and say, look, if we have to go deal by deal with countries, and then
Hmm.
we're going to have to look at human rights. I mean, America right now isn't any better, is what he said
It,
between the lines,
yeah.
right? If we have to work together with China, yes, that's horrible. We think because we have been taught this, but actually, what's happening in America right now is not any better. So, if we had to trade you guys out with a much bigger nation with much more economy, many
Hmm.
more weapons, anyways, then we would be forced to do that. We have been adhering to our agreement. We have been working together with you always because we believe in our people and your people. However, if you're going to go about this in this way in power, then we're going to have to abandon you and make a new world order.
I,
That's exactly what he said. That's also what Macron said. And it might take like a while, but
yep.
then you would actually feel it like really hard. And then it would take maybe even longer, let's say 20, 30, 50 years or something like that. And then you would see
Yep.
either America would have to come crawling back to the world order as we that would then be changed, and or it would stop being a superpower for
I think
real.
that's a great point. And I know you got a little long here. And I said this point, and I think what a lot of MAGA don't understand is this propaganda of American exceptionalism, right? This individualism, it's turning us into an imperialistic country in the Western Hemisphere, right? We're basically going against the Monroe
Yeah.
Doctrine, where Europe, you can't come over here, but we can do whatever we want. When
Yeah, exactly.
you got soybeans, which are basically gone, right? So those farmers are toast. That's all going to
Yeah.
South America, and then we're
Hmm.
bailing them out. Now you've pissed off Canada. They're now buying stuff from China, which means we're being cut out. And
Yeah.
then what's going to happen is at some point we're going to be kicked out of NATO. Let's just be real, or they're going to have to
Hmm.
fight us, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
And when the U.S. dollar goes down because it's no longer the currency, Canada, Japan, and China own about what $2 trillion in debt. When they
Hmm.
cash that in, we're
Hmm.
cooked. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of these MAGA are too stupid because they're so stuck on this. We're the best of the best of the best. You're going to do whatever we say. You get under our thumb. You'll give us Greenland and Venezuela and Norway and Australia. We're going to take it all, or we're going
Yeah.
to attack you. They don't understand that we actually need to work together as a world, and we're just alienating ourselves from everybody.
Exactly. And so what happens then? Eventually the economy would break down.
Yeah.
Eventually it would shrink. Eventually people would be even more uneducated and would have even less money. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
really, really stupid. It's 2026, like the era of imperialism is over. I know, Putin is trying to bend the knee on the Ukrainians who are fighting. Like I have I never knew. Everyone was going like, it's going to take 4 days. Russia has Ukraine. We're going year 4, and they're still fighting.
Yep.
Just to make that clear, they're such a small nation compared to America, and still they're doing like, I mean, those guys are heroes. And
Oh
I
yeah.
can't believe that the United States didn't come in and bail them out, as well as NATO. I mean, NATO has done everything that they can, but I think that they could do more there. Now we're talking about alliances, and they are. They are in
Mm-hmm.
talks right now of, okay, so now we finally stood up and kind of went out of our haze and went, so what can we do more? So they're in talks about that right now, actually.
Mm.
As Donald Trump, he pulled the aid for the Ukrainian people. And he's making so much noise at home as well with ICE and with everything that he's doing. I mean, he's taking off Native American people, Inuit people, Black folks off of government websites for the heroic things that they did for America.
Yep.
in World War II. I can't even believe, how could you still believe that this guy is the
It's
bigot? I mean, how
it's
can you not?
whitewashing, and it goes back to what I said. It's they don't want to teach about American history. They want to teach about white history, that we have bald eagles and freedom and flat. It's the lie. It's like the Truman Show. It is the lie of American exceptionalism. We
It
just don't
is.
want to admit it. And I do have one last question for you, just because you were talking about Ukraine.
Hmm.
Are we not in violation? Because when Ukraine and the Baltic states decided to disarm themselves at the end of the Cold War, we signed the Budapest Memorandum, which means that we would protect them. How are we not violating that right now by siding with Vladimir Putin and have him on a red carpet in Russia and kissing his ass? Explain that to me.
Completely violating that right now. I mean, as I said, it looks like one orange person in the Oval Office can dismantle everything that all of your own
Oh, it's so
soldiers,
sad.
white and black and Navajo and Inuit, all of your own soldiers have died and have
Mm,
bled and have PTSD and have missing limbs, all of those throughout your history that have
yeah.
gone to bat for freedom. He is pissing on them right now. I cannot
Yep.
understand that the American people are not understanding this, that they're not getting it. He is pissing on every vet that you have, on every soldier who's in active combat, on everyone who is fighting for America. This is not what they're fighting for. And by the way, one of the other points that I've also made is that America right now can go, oh, I don't like your pants, but hey, it's a free country. It's not. You're not a free country right now.
No,
I
we're
mean,
not.
per default, and people have to wake up to that, and I think they are. And that's the last thing that I want to say just once more, because it is very important. It's very hard to hear when you're very angry, right? You
Hmm.
have to make sure that the majority of people who are going back and saying, look, I was wrong, now I know better. You have to make sure that they have a welcoming place. If you're not the person who are able to do it, then make
Mm.
sure that they find someone who is and welcomes them back into society. That's how you counter extremism. That's how you counter white supremacy. That's how you counter Nazism. It's
Hmm.
saying the truth and then welcoming back people who are scared or who are in disbelief or who just didn't know better. And there are a lot of those too. You have to remember that. So I'm not talking about forgiving them like all and we're all a happy family again and everything's going to be great. But I'm talking about like realizing, okay, they don't know any better. They are fighting from day to day. Okay, so I have to have some more compassion than I actually have. Like we talked about the Supreme Court justice, right?
Hmm.
You have to be twice as good at at being large. You have to be four times as good as forgiving. I mean, as
Mm.
people. And I don't mean that in a specific Christian way. I'm not like like you know devout Christian
I know what
who's
you're
going
saying.
to
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm a more secular one, right? But I am, and I do read the Bible and stuff like that. So, but it's I'm thinking about it in sort of it has been a choice. Let me say it that way. And so I'm not talking about like it's not easy if you've had like family members who has disowned family members for being Democrat or for being pro LGBTQ plus and um, shunning trans people. I can't even believe that is happening. I mean, drag persons, what in the world? Some of my
Mm.
best friends are drag
Hmm.
queens and of the LGBTQ community. I'm not myself, but that doesn't matter. We're people, right? So, but you still have to, as like the majority that actually have some sense in their heads and actually have some warmth in their hearts, you kind of have to double down. It takes a lot more from you than it does from the people who are kind of letting themselves be like seduced into this whole fascism world. When you see a glimmer of hope or of doubt in any form, way, shape, or you have to say, okay, come back, come
Yeah.
back. This was a dark chapter of our history. We will have to have longer talks later on, but for now, we're going to have to work so that this won't happen next time that we have an election. And we
Hmm.
kind of have to make what's wrong right now right together. So it's going to be okay. Let's like do something good for against the like Trump way of thinking and kind of the white supremacist. And then when you're done with that and you've been a little bit in a battle, then you can sit down and say, "Hey, that was fucked up, my friend. I'm sorry. That was so
Hey,
fucked up,
trust
and
me,
I
I've
really
said worse
hate
on my
you for
videos.
it. And how can you even be like that?" And then you would have to be prepared to fight a little bit, both of you. But first, after you've done something like community
Yeah.
together in some kind of way, because you guys, you're going to have to forgive so much more than you thought, and you're going to have
Yep,
to be so much more accommodating than you thought. But that's the only way to heal this and kind
it
of
is.
make the white supremacy people in the minority and kind of dwindle. That's the only way to do it.
All right. Well, I've kept you a long time. I know you got to be tired. So I appreciate you were 6, 8, 20. You're 6 hours ahead. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It was a
It
lot of
was so
fun.
nice talking to you.
You
Yeah, it
too.
was.
It was a pleasure. And I hope that everything is okay with our Greenland. I hope that we're not going to invade it, but I apologize for the American people that this
Thank you.
orange turd is wanting to be a white colonist. It's not everybody here is on board with that. I just want you to know that.
I know, I saw, and I even saw polls that like the majority is not. So thank you for that, all of the good and brave people of the United States. And just remember, like for everyone who's not completely a racist and everything, just remember, brown people are nice. We're just like you. You probably have a lot of our DNA already in you. It's just because
Probably.
we're a little more tanned than you are. That's all. There's really no difference between us. I mean, it's gonna be okay. Just,
Yeah.
go outside and be a little curious, and then if someone are hostile, take the next person that are warmer and then say, I don't really know how to go about this. Oh, it's okay. We're gonna take care of you. We will only get through this whole experience that life is and that Earth is together as a humanity. And the more we can
Yeah.
get on board with that, the better.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.